that time of the week where we do some lucky dipping. I'm joined here by Samantha Howson. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Ben Helwig. G'day. We are from Good Movie Monday, the podcast on a Monday, and this is the lucky dip where we just pull some titles out of a bowl. Have you got a bowl or a teacup this week, Sam?
I still have my Street Fighter
Oh, I forgot about that.
thing. Yeah.
I made the horrible mistake of popping in a sherbet bomb before we started recording this. It's not a quick. It's not a quick.
It's not a quick lolly.
You know, I have not heard the word sherbet bomb since I was about 12. Is it are they pink, yeah?
This one's yellow. So it might be a bit
different
old.
colours.
Oh, is that? It's one of those lemon ones?
Yeah,
Oh, they're good.
with the sherbet in the middle that you kind of have to suck out.
Yeah, but yeah, they got a little hole in the end.
Yeah.
But do you remember the sherbet bombs that were like a bit thicker? They were pink
Yeah.
and like soft.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I
They were
think
like musk sticks, but with sherbet in the middle, weren't they?
Yeah.
All the
they
Willy
didn't-
Wonka
They didn't
ones?
taste like musk, but
I think those ones
Mm.
are actually called sherbet. The ones you're talking about are actually sherbet bombs. What I'm having is something else. It's like a sherbet drop.
less talking, more chewing, mate. It's waiting for
Try and
that
chew it.
sherbet bomb to go down. Just swallow it whole. See what happens.
See if my teeth can stand up to it.
Of course, Ben would have put some thought into this segment and put some movies into a bowl.
Oh, now it's ASMR.
Or mukbang, a recurring theme on this on Good Movie Monday. The original mukbanger.
I'm totally going to start a mukbang career.
You should.
Yeah.
Just me eating like tin spaghetti.
Oh, that's a good
Sitting
mukbang.
there with the microphone, just making the sound of the
Slurping
tin
noise.
of the tin opening. That, and then
Can you imagine?
the popping it out into the bowl where you get there's
It's like a can of Pal.
yeah, like a can of Pal.
Yeah.
Mm,
Can you
dog food.
imagine like a tin of spaghetti that's the size of like a tennis ball tin? They should do that.
Oh.
Why don't they do that?
I've got to say, look, it is possible that I have quadrupled in size, but the tin spaghetti that you get now, the tins are like tiny. Like I remember them being like a decent
Yeah.
meal sized, and now
What about the really small ones?
they're for twos. Yeah, like you get the really small ones. Therefore, I'm like, I suppose that people over the age of 7 aren't really supposed to be eating Heinz tin spaghetti, but fuck them. It's great.
You can go first, Sam.
Okay.
Hey, the purple's now green, Ben.
It is.
Oh yeah, it is.
Changing colours.
The lava lamp is the trouble with Harry.
Ooh,
Trouble with
fantastic. Hitchcock's only comedy. Well,
Yeah.
actual intentional comedy.
Yeah. And the version I've seen is in colour as well, which
I think that was a colour film, wasn't it?
I'm not sure now that I've brought it up.
I think it was.
Yeah, because it was, what did I say? 1955.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a great film. It is
Certainly
funny. Like I think the first time I saw it, I was a kid, and it was just like chaos. I think I just remember it being so chaotic, and basically they find this body, and they all like end up working together to try and get rid of this body, but no one knows exactly how it ended up there, but they all think they're
Because-
responsible.
Yeah, because this Harry has ties to everybody in some way. Like
Yeah.
there's a web of sinisterness going on.
Yeah, it's like a small town, and
Don't they like bury him and then dig him up and then bury him again and then dig him up and
Yeah.
it's just like constantly in and out of the ground?
Yeah, and he's just like, they're just moving him around this town, and it's just, yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a good film. I
Yeah.
love it. Back in my sort of Hitchcock binge, days when I used to watch Hitchcock a lot,
Mm.
that one would get put on quite a bit. I like it.
Yeah.
And no one does that dark shit. Like, no one can
No.
find the humor in murder and other
Yeah.
bad things like Hitchcock could.
I think it was really simple too. It was really like the actors and the situation that made it so good. It wasn't I don't think he felt like he had to overcomplicate it. It was
Yeah.
it was what it was.
This sounds completely weird, but it used to remind me of Gilligan's Island because the two guys that originally stumble across him, like the fat guy and the skinny guy,
Yeah.
reminded me of Gilligan and the skipper.
Yeah, that's true.
And they kind of bumble around the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny. Now that's all I'll be able to think of.
Yeah, sorry.
The beaver's in it too. You forgot to mention that the beaver's in it.
Yeah,
The
he's the
beaver.
little kid. Yeah.
Oh.
What was his name in real life?
Jerry Mathers.
Jerry Mathers, that's right. Excellent. All right, next one.
What's next?
Upside down.
Oh, Gerald's Game.
Gerald's Game.
The Stephen King.
Is that one that's
Novella?
directed by Mike Flanagan? Gerald's Game's a novel.
Oh, full novel.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. It's a good one. Like it's one of those Stephen King stories I was waiting a very long time for them to adapt because I kept thinking this would be a good movie, but never did. But eventually it came out, and obviously the infamous degloving scene, which is to Gerald's Game that the hobbling is in Misery. It's that kind of
Yeah.
equivalent, and it's a glorious moment because you think to yourself, if you know it's coming, it's like, are they going to show it? And they did. They showed it.
They do show it.
Yeah, pretty good film.
It was on Netflix, was it?
I think
Oh.
Could be.
was it a Netflix? Because there were two
Mm.
was
two
an
Stephen King
original-
movies. The one with Thomas Jane.
Yeah.
in the-
1922
Yeah,
or 1920 something.
1927. I think they were both. Weren't they both
22.
Netflix originals?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
I think that 1922 was directed by an Aussie, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's cool.
Brucey B.
Let
Bruce
me
Barrison.
just fact check that. I don't want to get that one wrong. Hang on.
Nope.
But that movie, Gerald's Game, or the book itself, is supposed to be part 2 in a trilogy, the Eclipse trilogy, because the first one's Dolores Claiborne,
And then Hearts and
Then-
Atlantis.
and then Gerald's Game, but he hasn't written the third one yet.
Ah,
They all take place on the same night of the eclipse.
yeah. Oh, interesting. I wonder if he's writing it now.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Mm.
All right, looking
I
it up,
just-
looking it up.
Every time I think of Stephen King, I just imagine that he's like Scrooge McDuck, like he's got a vault full of gold
Yeah.
coins that he just swims in. Like, are you writing another one? No.
Yeah, 1922
in
is
that.
directed by Zach Hilditch, the guy that made These Final Hours
Ah,
with Nathan Phillips.
that's cool.
He's not related to Thomas Hilditch, the star of Silicon Valley and,
Negative.
stuff.
That's
No.
a big fat negative. No.
Big fat no. You got that wrong.
Yeah.
Shut up, Ben.
All right,
Fair enough.
Ben. What are you pulling out of your bowl?
Yeah, I thought about it.
Just
this
look
yesterday,
behind you.
and I was like, I really should have put together the bowl. And then I thought,
What's the movie next to Maniac Cop behind you?
that's Sweet Revenge.
Ooh.
Okay, let's talk about that.
It stars Nancy Allen.
Oh my god, if that's not a Jewel of the Nile ripoff, I don't know what is.
That's
I'll read you
true.
the back of it. Nancy Allen and Knots Landing star Ted Shackelford give the word adventure a new meaning. I can read. Can you believe it?
Oh my god.
In the last 24 hours, Gillian has been kidnapped, drugged, and flown halfway around the world. Then she met Boone. Now her problems are just beginning.
Moon.
While investigating the disappearance of some young women in Los Angeles, reporter Gillian Gray, Nancy Allen, is kidnapped herself and flown to the Far East to be sold to the highest bidder. Enter Boone, roguish American smuggler who's been captured by the same band of thugs working for the kingpin in the Far East, Cicero, played by Martin Landau. They later break out from Cicero's compound, but that's just the beginning. Now they have to get out of the Far East with their lives. I think
To
I've
get
done that.
even, she needed a hero, but instead she got Boone.
She got Boone. Yeah. It sounds a lot like Jake Speed, actually.
Well, there you go. Well, I don't know anything about that film, so I can't add any
About Jake Speed.
just about that movie.
Oh, or about Sweet Revenge.
Yeah.
Have you seen
Yeah,
Jake Speed?
No, I don't know anything about either, so I can't contribute to this conversation.
Jake Speed. Jake Speed was released on Blu-ray by Arrow just not years ago. It's
I'll
not very
look
good.
into that.
It's not a very good film.
We'll do one more round, and hopefully, when we come back to you, I'll select one or you can select one that's a little easier to talk about.
I'll just quickly make some.
Go for it, Sam.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop. The best of the 80s.
Can you do the Neutron dance for us right now?
Unfortunately,
would this be Bronson Pinchot's best role?
Outside of True Romance and Cousin Balky.
Yeah, that's true. Isn't this Perfect Strangers?
No, it's just the hair. It's very disgusting.
Perfect Strangers, if I'm not mistaken, was modelled after the character from Beverly Hills Cop, yeah?
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's
great. Wow.
Serge.
Serge.
Would you like a color? I make it myself. I put it in the twisted lemon. It's very nice.
Get the fuck out of here.
I know.
We're not going to fuck out. Awesome one, Sam. I love Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
It's amazing that he is so iconic when Damon Wayans is also has like a great little
character. It's such a small role, but so memorable. Like you can't forget that scene.
Yeah.
That look around.
Yeah.
Get those bananas. Ain't gonna fall for no banana in the tailpipe.
And of course, who's the guy that plays Victor Maitland?
Yeah.
Brain fart.
What's
his name?
I used to think it was Ray Sharkey, but it's
the guy that was in a couple of Frank Housen movies.
Yeah, the main one though is Jonathan Banks as his sidekick,
as the sort of henchman.
Yeah,
Jonathan Banks from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul fame. You know, I remember when he first rocked up in Breaking Bad, all I could think of is like, that's Jonathan Banks from like Beverly Hills Cop every other fucking movie from the 80s where he played a bad guy.
Stephen Burkoff.
Stephen Burkoff. That's it. Yeah, legend.
Yeah.
That scene in the restaurant when Axel Foley crashes the party and, you know,
can
the
you
intimidation on...
that, I went to the clinic and I got tested and he should get himself tested before bits start dropping off the man.
And Jonathan Banks gets cake all over his face.
Yeah.
But the intimidation from Burkoff in that scene, the eyes, the stare.
Yeah, the stare is insane.
Yeah.
That's the movie that taught me that you can smuggle cocaine in coffee.
Yeah. I didn't know that before. I was constantly swallowing condoms of it. And I thought I could have just bought a little tin of Nescafe Blend 43.
Yeah, here's me sewing it into my jacket. Like, Jesus.
Amateurs, Glenn. We were amateurs.
Sam, what do you think of the sequels? Let's go part 2. Do you like number 2?
I like 2. The third one's a bit tough to get through.
It's only good for the director cameos. And you're like, oh.
George Lucas. Yeah. Such a random thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Look, Ben knows exactly what I'm going to say next, and I do enjoy number 3, but it's definitely a bad movie. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Eddie Murphy is great though, but it's the rest of the film.
But John Landis, because John Landis directed it, and I think I'm pretty sure he said that on the first day of shooting, Eddie Murphy said, "I don't want to make a comedy."
Yeah, no, they fell out. This is where they fell out because they had made Trading Places and Coming to America together, and so this was a natural team up. But yeah, on practically day one, Eddie Murphy says, "Look, I'm done with comedy. I want this to be a serious movie." Which, if you think about it, okay, this movie's like even more comical than the previous 2.
Yeah, I mean, but Beverly Hills Cop and Beverly Hills Cop 2, like they're not comedies.
No, that's right.
Like they're action movies with comedic element, with funny stuff in it, but they're not. I wouldn't have said that they were comedies.
No.
Yeah. Whereas number 3 is like balls to the wall comedy. Like it's,
Yeah,
Yeah, weird.
But I think number 3 I like because it's got moments. I like the moments that are in there. Like,
Yeah.
there's some.
like Balky's super gun.
Oh, that's a terrible moment. That's a terrible moment. Although the sounds that come out of it are very funny.
But yeah,
You got that hip hop song that comes out of it?
because it does everything.
but like-
Gun does everything.
But where he's dressed up as that elephant, that's funny. And the little kid goes, I love you, Hokey Pokey. Kicks him in the stomach. Oh, great stuff. Okie dokie was his name. What else we got? Oh,
The mission.
from Beverly Hills Cop 3 to The Mission.
To the mission.
I don't know the mission.
Now that's
The
a comedy
Mission's-
I can get behind.
Great film. This was Robert De Niro and Jeremy Irons with a young Liam Neeson.
Oh.
All about the missionary expedition into one of the jungles. I don't know which jungle it was.
Somewhere in South America, isn't it?
Yeah, South
Yeah,
America.
like Peru or something. Who directed this? Was it? It's not Roland Joffrey.
Roland Joffrey.
It was Roland Joffrey.
Yeah.
Great film.
I've never seen
Full
it.
on.
I did, funnily enough, this weekend, while I was supposed to be watching 90s thrillers, or last weekend, I should say, not this weekend, last weekend, I put on We're No Angels,
Oh, yeah.
the remake, because I've seen the original. I love the
Yeah.
original. And Jarrett watched and it was like, it's a bad film.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, like it's just such a good plot. And I like Sean Penn and I like Robert De Niro. I'll give it a go, and he's right. It sucked.
It's no Nuns on the Run.
No, it certainly isn't. It's the same plot, but none of the charm.
Yeah. But The Mission was one of those early movies that I watched where I felt it was important. You know, I was probably 9 or 10 as well when I watched that, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm watching something important.
Mhm.
And it still is. Like the soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks of them all.
Wow.
Is it Vangelis or someone like that who does the soundtrack?
Is it Morricone? I don't know. I can't remember. Sam's got a whiz bang technology up.
Yeah. I was looking at the photos. Hang on.
Two old men who slowly lose their minds and look things up on IMDb. The new name of these videos.
Sorry, my computer's.
That's all right. Anyway, it's a great soundtrack.
You're right. It is Morricone.
Yeah. It's very cool. You were slow on that one, Sam.
I know my computer. The stupid, IMDb. How it loads the page, but then it jumps because it gets the ads in, and so when you click and it
You click on the
jumps,
wrong
you
thing,
click on
yeah.
something else. Oh, it's so annoying.
Yeah, the
Anyway.
amount of ads for Lux listings in Sydney that I've accidentally clicked on. And I watched 5 minutes of an episode because I do genuinely like those kind of real estate-y type shows.
Yeah.
And I jumped on Amazon Prime and I thought, oh, an Australian one. Let's see how full of shit. And Jesus, it is almost offensively unwatchable.
Oh, really?
Like everyone in it is unlikable.
Ugh.
It is
Well-
it is the worst. It is
Speaking of something offensively unwatchable, grab something from behind you.
Oh. Everything I have is unwatchable.
It's because they're VHS and we don't have VCRs.
What about this one? The Shootist.
Oh, look at
Oh.
that snazzy cover, mate.
Yeah,
That's schmick.
It's so
pristine.
schmick that I think it's the reflection is ruining the you can see it.
No, that looks in mint, mate.
Yeah.
It's just the case. It's a
Okay.
fraud. It's a it's a fraud.
I haven't seen that in a hot minute.
Yeah, I only watched it for the first time after listening to a Ron Howard interview on something, and he was talking about it because it was one of the movies that kind of inspired his desire to direct. It was acting on it, and it's pretty good. It's all about this old timey kind of. John Wayne is a gun. What do I call it? A gunman. But what do they call him in the Wild
Gunslinger?
West? A gunslinger. He's like a
Cowboy?
gunfighter. He's a gunfighter, and like a famous one. But now he's old, and he rides into town. He's constantly being challenged by young kind of gunfighters who want to make a name for themselves. But he has got, and I think this is one of the earlier kind of, or at least earlier set movies where they talk about people having cancer. And he's dying of cancer, and he knows his old friend, who I think, who's his old buddy? James Stewart. That's right. Jimmy Stewart is like his old friend who's a doctor in town, and he basically tells him that the end is going to be horrible. There's no dignified way, like, you know. So he's kind of looking to get into like a last kind of gunfight to so that he will die, like, honorably, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I could be mistaken. Oh, no, sorry, go on. I thought you were wrapping up.
Oh no, but while he's in town, he's staying at a boarding house run by Lauren Bacall, whose teenage son, played by Ron Howard, kind of he's actually, like, Ron Howard is surprisingly like he's a bit of a jerk for the majority of the film, but then he does kind of come to respect the John Wayne character and start to care about him. And he also, and like, Lauren Bacall hates him at the start, of course, but if you didn't, where else would there be to go? And she comes to kind of, like him and stuff. And
now, I think this is the movie I'm thinking of. There's a great interview with John Wayne on YouTube with Phil Donahue. Like, it goes for about 40 minutes. He's sitting on the edge of a stage in front of like an auditorium full of old women, and this is old John Wayne. But I think he was promoting that film at the time, and he was trying to reclaim the Western, because he thought too many Westerns these days were getting ugly, and like the American hero was lost,
Yeah.
And this was his attempt to bring back old-fashioned Westerns, which,
it's directed by Don Siegel.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And it also stars Maniac Cop's Sherry North. Sherry J. North.
And speaking of, Maniac Cop right behind you.
And Maniac Cop, yeah. Little Sherry J. North collection going on. But there we go.
Awesome.
Better than Lucky Dip, the old VHS collection. Lucky I didn't pull out what was Fashion Fantasies. That would have been an awkward. I have no idea what this movie is about. But the tagline is "Undress for Success." So,
mate, that would have been better for our old Spitball videos. That one,
yeah.
Gonna join us again next week, Sam?
Yes. Yep.
Fantastic. And Ben, I don't care one way or the other. You can or can't. After you, mate.
Taking the week off.
Oh, awesome.